Alex Jones. Our websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Those are the two big twin motherships. Then we have the auxiliary attack frigates in the Infowar, Infowars.net, PrisonPlanet.tv, JonesReport.com, WhatIsTheEndGame.com. The list goes on and on. FallOfTheRepublic.com, TheObamaDeception.net, and about 20 other sites or more. We did that because we get attacked and hacked over the years. And my rule is I start more websites when I'm attacked. And I mean bona fide real attacks. Alan Watt, always amazing to interview him. CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com. What are some of the other backup sites you've got as well, Alan?
I've got a whole bunch there because the same thing happens. In fact, it's through Yahoo. Yahoo pulls them once in a while for 2 months, 2 weeks at a time, or 3 weeks. I'm the only person on the planet that can't find out what's wrong, what the problem is. And after about 3 weeks, I'm back up. But then I have to spend weeks uploading up to those sites to catch up again. It's all harassment techniques. So I've got cuttingthrough.jenkins.com, cuttingthroughthematrix.net.us.ca, Alan Watt, cuttingthroughthematrix.ca, and a European site, Alan Watt Sentinel.eu. And I've got another one on standby right now, too.
Good. Okay, let's go to some phone calls. Let's talk to Robert in West Virginia. Robert, you're on the air. Okay, Shelley in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead, Shelley.
Hi, Alex. I spoke to you a couple of days ago, and I was telling you about my son that I had just enrolled in school, and I wanted to find out what I could do as far as the vaccine and everything. I live right outside of Houston. I went to my son's nurse yesterday and asked her for the vaccine exemption form. She said she has nothing like that. She didn't want to give me any information.
She's a liar.
Basically.
Understand? Okay, you have to go to the health department. Let's do this live on TV right now. Guys, Google Texas vaccine exemption form. And we will be on the state health department, and you just print it off, and you mail it in. And if the criminals at that school who get money for shooting your kid up, their federal funds are almost exclusively tied to that. It's so important the government wants that. That you then go in and you give it to them, and then they're open for massive criminal charges if they try to kick your child out. But see, their criminal charges on your child are for truancy when they kick them out. That's what they talk about arresting you for shots. They're total criminals. So there it is, okay? There is the state of Texas vaccine exemption form, and you just Google that, and you can print the form off. Secure online request for exemption affidavit. And there's copies of them online, but I guess here the state's now making you ask to screw it up, but they've got to give it to you. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to get mad. I'm just so tired of lying criminals. But again, this evil woman or man, they feel like it's good, like a death camp operator. Oh, they're helping by lying to you. And believe me, a school nurse knows they're lying. Alan Watt.
Yes, they do. Now, there's some true believers in the profession are brainwashed themselves. In fact, the big boys say that. The first ones you have to brainwash are the ones who manage the rest of the public. And a lot of them truly believe it. But there's a lot of nurses, too, that understand. They've seen the effects of inoculations.
Yeah, that's why close to 60% are saying no in New York. Shelley.
Yeah, New York State, actually. This is the thing with New York State. They made it a policy, the big board that controls the health authority for New York State, a policy, and they said in the policy there will be no exemptions for religious or philosophical or even diabetic reasons. This is for the first time in their history they've actually even brought diabetics.
Yeah, even if your doctor, because this is key, you can find an anti-vaccine doctor by Googling it in any major city. If you're in a small town, you may have to go to a big city. They will give you a medical exemption, and they admit on the flu shots hundreds of things. If you've got allergies, you're not supposed to take shots because they admit that it is going to cause an autoimmune response. But now they're trying to say, we don't care if the medical doctor says no. We got SWAT teams who want to kill. They want blood. Take the cancer shot. Shelley, what are you facing right now?
I called the immunization branch there in Austin, and the lady laughed at me yesterday on the phone. She said there is no exemption form for. I was asking specifically for the swine flu, and she said
Ma'am, Obama's been on TV saying you don't have to take it. Okay, so she told you have to?
No, she said that it's not mandatory, and there is no form that I can fill.
But then let me guess, Houston's trying to force you to take it, though.
That I don't know.
Okay,
I'm hearing a lot.
But you said that, ma'am, it's a general vaccine waiver form, so that when they try, well, it's all over Dallas Morning News. They're trying to make Texas kids take it. So Alan, what do you call these ring around the rosy mind games? This blob of con artists play where they'll go, you don't need an exemption, it's not mandatory, but you have to take it. What do you call that mind control, Alan?
It's a form of doublethink. When you get into this doublethink, we can believe two opposing ideas at the same time. Then you can't think rationally for yourselves. You give up and just go along with them. That's what most folk do. You give up and go along.
Yeah. Stay there, Alan. I want to hear more from you, Mark, and others. Shelley, look. The general vaccine form. Your kid's not taking vaccines, okay? Period. The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.
Big John.
All right, I didn't mean to go off into a rant. I was just talking to one of my producers, one of the radio guys, Rob Dew, about how they, and his wife's in education, how they tried for months to get the exemption form. They would laugh and say it doesn't exist. Up until a month ago, you could always just print it off online. Now I guess they make you get one from them. They're real bastards. But going back to Alan Watt before we continue with calls, yeah, there's always these little ring around the rosy games. It's in the Dallas Morning News. They're kicking kids out if they don't take the regular shot, seasonal flu, and the new one. I mean, I showed Dallas Morning News yesterday. Austin's announcing it, but there's no law. They're saying you don't have to, but you have to. And then you say, well, I want an exemption form, and they laugh at you and say, you don't have to, honey. I mean, this is just so sick. And these locals, they always get like a little piggy face, a little demonic smile. What is that programming where they revel in abusing people? They revel in lying.
Yeah, what you've got really is what has been said about the Soviet system and the hero worship of the man at the top. The same with the Nazi regime in Germany. What they found was that all the officers down below are sadomasochists. And this is how power works. It's a sadomasochistic thing that attracts psychopathic types into those positions. In fact, they're generally the only ones who go into them. And they worship the person above them with power, and they despise the person beneath them who has less power than themselves. That's how simply it works with sadomasochism. And you'll always have the strange sadomasochistic authoritarianism when you get into politics and right down to local politics even. Any authority. This is the very thing that Carl Jung warned the public about back in the 50s. He talked about the Iron Curtain across Germany, but he also said, I see an iron curtain of massive bureaucracies building up with governmental agencies, stifling and strangling the freedom of the whole planet. He understood what was coming down the pike back then. Many of his generation did, in fact, because they were involved in meeting high-level people. And he knew that the world we're bringing in would be one of tyranny by force. And that's what you've got. One of the criteria of tyranny is when you're forced into a position by authorities without any escape routes. In other words, you have no choice. That is tyranny, when you have no choice in any situation.
Well, you're absolutely right. Since they don't have a choice, they learn to love it and love to defend it. And so when you say, hey, the banks just stole $23.7 trillion, we got to pay it back with interest,
yep.
They just laugh and will say, I'm part of the power structure.
Yep.
And it's almost like a 5-year-old dressing up like they're Luke Skywalker, or dressing up like they're, some hero.
Yep.
That it's like the public are eternal children, and they imagine things. They're delusional. And
yes.
I never had a view of myself as something special or wonderful or good. I'm just a person that has my instincts intact. And, having a bunch of psychos writing books about how they're killing me with vaccines and stuff in the water, and then I can see the evidence they're doing it. I mean, if they write hundreds of books about how they're killing us and how it's a scientific dictatorship, wouldn't there be something wrong with me if I didn't, as a red-blooded male,
yep.
not stand up for my species
Absolutely.
against a power-tripping group that's playing God?
Absolutely, and part of the key of obedience, as I say, Stanford and other universities are into these experiments all the time around obedience, or the CIA involved with them, obviously. And what they find is, with the more power they accumulate in any agency, in this sadomasochistic power structure, they begin to despise the ordinary people who begin to cow under authority. The more the people cow under authority, the more they're despised, is almost weaklings, and eventually hated by those in power. I've always said it's like a farmer breaking the legs of a cow. It falls to the ground, then he starts kicking it because it can't get up. That's the very system that's in play today with the sadomasochistic total power structure that's set up. This is a hell on earth they're bringing